Hi everyone, how you all going? Welcome to my review of the Fantastic Four First Steps. And this movie was released last week. I've seen it twice actually. What did I think of it? I actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. This is the first Fantastic Four movie that's actually part of the MCU. So there were previously three Fantastic Four movies: the 2005 movie and also 2007's Rise of the Silver Surfer, which were both directed by Tim Story. Then there was also the 2015 reboot, which was a massive box office failure, and critical reception was terrible as well. I've seen the 2005 and 2007 movies, not the 2015 one. In my opinion, this movie is the best Fantastic Four movie by far. Now, plot is pretty straightforward. It begins, it takes place 4 years after the Fantastic Four became the Fantastic Four. We find out they went to space, they encountered a cosmic storm that altered their DNA. And then in the present, and then basically they went on to, after the DNA was altered, after they became the Fantastic Four, they went and fought crime, and they became like the four most famous faces on the planet, basically. And then we find out in the present, Sue's actually pregnant. In the movie, Sue's played by Vanessa Kirby. Liked her in the movie, actually. I thought she did a very good job. She's pregnant in the movie, and then she informs Reed that she's pregnant, which shocks him because they tried previously, they weren't successful. And then what happens is the Silver Surfer comes to Earth, and then she tells all the humans that their planet has been marked for death. And then she goes, yes, I herald Galactus, I herald his beginning, I herald your end, I herald Galactus. So then what happens? Well, then essentially the Fantastic Four go off into space to actually confront Galactus, and they meet Galactus. We find has been devouring different planets, and after they actually meet him, shortly after he's actually devoured a sixth planet. Then after confronting him, he tells them that he will spare Earth in exchange for Reed and Sue's unborn child being handed to him, because he claims that their child is a being of infinite power, and he can use that child to devour as many planets as possible. And then essentially they decide not to go along with it. They flee. And they basically have to hatch a plan to actually defeat Galactus without Reed and Sue handing over their child, who is later born and named Franklin. So now I've summed up a lot of storyline right there. Let me start off with what I did like about this movie. I thought the visual effects were fantastic. When they go off into space and confront Galactus and they escape, the visual effects in that scene were superb. I really liked, when they're flying and you see the black hole, the wormhole. The visual effects were outstanding. I really enjoyed the character dynamics between Reed and Sue, Johnny, and also the Thing, so Benjamin Grimm. Character dynamics were very good in my opinion. The movie also, for the most part, was paced pretty well. I say for the most part, I'll get to why I don't think it was completely paced well in a little while. But yeah, for the most part, the pacing was pretty good. The movie didn't drag on for very long either, so it wasn't like scenes dragged on. It moved pretty quickly, which I liked. What I didn't like about this movie, however, I thought the first 15 odd minutes was a bit, I wouldn't say slow, it just felt like the movie didn't know what it wanted to be, basically. I just felt like the first 15 odd minutes, the movie was quite unsure of what it wanted to be, essentially. That was one of my main critiques of this movie. I thought the first 10, maybe 15 minutes could have been a little bit superior, in my opinion. Maybe showcased a bit more of why they went up into space, how they encountered this cosmic storm. I think some more backstory would have actually been good. I know it's not an origin story, I get that, but I think the first 10 or so minutes could have been a bit stronger. Another thing I didn't like about this movie, it's a fantastic. I really enjoyed the movie. Johnny Storm in this movie, after Shalla-Bal returns to Earth and she destroys all these teleportation bridges, because the Fantastic Four, they hatch a plan. Reed hatches a plan for Earth to be teleported to a new location out of Galactus's reach. And then basically the Silver Surfer, so Shalla-Bal, comes down to Earth. She starts destroying all these bridges. and then Johnny confronts her. This his second time actually confronting her in the movie. He confronts her previously as well. He basically reminds her about what she's done and how she's been responsible for multiple planets being devoured and, families being destroyed, or, families, human civilizations being, or civilizations being killed, basically, planets being devoured. He reminds her of all this after actually decoding her language, or piecing together as much of her language as possible. And then she freaks out, she flies off. I thought that scene was a little bit stupid because she knows what she's doing. We find out not forcibly, she voluntarily offered herself up to Galactus as his scout so that her family would be spared and her planet would be spared, and as well as her family, essentially. So we find out that Shalla Bal actually offered herself up to Galactus as his scout. So I thought that scene when Johnny reminds her of what she's doing and then she freaks out and, flies off, I thought that was a little bit stupid personally, because she already knew what she was actually doing. I know in that scene he does end up saving Franklin as well, but yeah, it's like she already knows what she's been doing. She knows that she's been responsible for all these planets being destroyed, so I thought that was a little bit stupid personally. But overall, nitpicks aside, this movie had some pretty good action. Some good action set pieces, especially in the third act. I think the movie could have had a little bit more action at the beginning as well, or in the middle. But overall, some good action set pieces, some great cinematography. I love that feel, that 60s retro feel. It was a lot of people have actually been comparing it to the Jetsons. I did actually watch a little bit of the Jetsons growing up. I wasn't very big into the show, but I did actually watch a little bit of the Jetsons growing up. And yes, people have been comparing it to the Jetsons, like the whole aesthetic feel of the movie. There weren't really many corny jokes either, which I liked. One of the things I hated about the more recent Thor movies like Ragnarok and even worse, Love and Thunder, was too many corny jokes one after the other. This movie did not really have too many corny jokes. Yes, a couple of jokes here and there, but it wasn't overdone in my opinion. So overall, I would give Fantastic Four First Steps an 8.5 out of 10. Go watch it. Go support it. Really good time at the movies. Not very long either, so if you're worried that, is it too long? No, it's only less than 2 hours long, so in my opinion, well worth watching on the big screen. For the most part, paced pretty well. Some good action set pieces, some great visual effects. Go watch it, go support it. And yes, the storyline of the movie is pretty similar to Rise of the Silver Surfer from 2007, but this movie is a lot superior to Rise of the Silver Surfer. Take care, everyone. All the best. Be sure to subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.